Hello and welcome to the Writecome.com podcast, where we help you to make money from your words. Each episode will be sharing tips, tricks, and strategies you can use to make more money from your writing, publishing, and marketing to your fans and audience. Let's get started with your host, Barry J. McDonald.
Hi, this is Barry here, and you are very welcome to today's podcast episode from Writecome.com. And today's podcast episode is entitled, Be Wary of the Small Steps. Now let me ask you a question. Would you give a complete stranger access to your online bank account? Now I'm sure the answer to that question is a definite no, and yet that is something I almost did the other day with my laptop. Now, I wouldn't call myself a slouch when it comes to internet safety. I wouldn't be somebody who would be drawn in by those Nigerian emails that are promising me vast amounts of money, or somebody who's come into a huge amount of money and is looking to share with me. I would shut them down straight away. I would delete those emails and I wouldn't get involved with them. And even the odd hoax phone call that might come to my house, I would see it for what it was and I would hang up straight away and not deal with those people. And yet I almost gave a complete stranger full access to my bank account. Now, to give you a little bit of a backstory to explain everything, before Christmas time we were having trouble with our internet provider, and in the area that we are living in, unfortunately there was only one internet provider in the area, so you had to go with them or you just had to do it out. So I have been with this company for about 10 years, and it just came to a head there before Christmas time. I just had enough with their customer service and how they were treating me, and I wanted to leave them. Now, a couple of weeks later, by just complete chance, another internet provider had actually started digging up our area and putting in new cables, and they were providing also an internet service in it. So with the chance of me going to somebody else, I jumped at it and signed up for a contract with the other internet provider because they were providing a better package that was faster than the previous one I had been with them. And part of the package was that I would also get a new telephone number. Now, because we didn't give our telephone number away to friends and family, nobody actually knew our telephone number. I got a phone call the other day saying that they were with the company that I had just signed up to, and they had just said, did I have any trouble with my hub recently? Was there any trouble with my internet speed? And I did have to point out that maybe a couple of days back, some of the kids were complaining that for whatever reason the hub was dropping the signal and it just didn't seem to be as fast as it was. So I just said, well, yes, we were having some problems, but I think it seems to be okay now. And the lady on the other line, on the end of the other line, had said to me, well, she said, something, I think there is something going on and it's something that we'd like to fix right now if you would be happy to stay on the line. So I said, well, sure enough, it's something you can do. And she promised me that she would speed up my internet connection. So, why would I not say no to that? So then she promised me that, well, we'll do this and we'll do that. So if you just stay on the line, we'll just maybe install a couple of little bits of software. We'll have a look at the hub. If you just give me the serial numbers and all those different things, we will work it out and we'll get it fixed for you. Now, over the next about 10 minutes or so, I was following all the directions she was giving me on the telephone. I was giving her the serial number on the hub. I was explaining that the light in the hub, some hubs, depending on the signal they are getting, sometimes they change colour tones. And I was watching the colour tone as I was talking to her, and she sent me over to a website to give her the readings on our internet speed, what was the uploads like, what was the downloads like, and how was it working. And then she got me to install a piece of software. Now, as I said, I wouldn't be somebody who was, who would be kind of taken in by that sort of stuff. But I did follow along as I was given all these little steps. I did download this piece of software, and as it was going along, she got me to do more and more little things and have a look at this reading and go over to this website over here and what is this telling you, and put a password in here and do this and do that. And I was doing all these little steps, and my wife Catherine was kind of looking at me saying, what's this one doing and what's she explaining to you? And when I was listening to the lady on the phone, everything seemed to make sense. Everything she was explaining to me seemed to make sense. And finally she said to me, just install this little bit of software, let it run for a second and tell me what it says at the bottom of the screen. Now, this little bit of software ran for a while, and then my laptop screen went blank, and she said that's okay, that they were just testing the speed on the hub. And my son at the time, he was sitting beside me and he was playing a game on the Kindle Fire, and his Kindle Fire seemed to be okay, but for whatever reason my laptop went blank and then it came back on again. So I thought that was a little bit strange, but I let it pass and I explained to her, well, I think, yeah, my laptop went blank there for a second, and she said, don't worry, it's something we were doing with the hub, so don't worry about that, that'll be fine. As long as it's come back on, just tell me when it's come back on and we can carry on the conversation. So I carried on the conversation, whether I was telling her, what was on my screen and all those different things. And then when that final piece of software had been installed, after it had processed, it just popped up a little message at the bottom saying that we were due a refund because the service was so bad that we were receiving. Now I said to the lady, well, I don't know, I've only signed up to this new service a couple of weeks ago, but this piece of software or this pop-up is telling me that I am due £400 as a refund because of the poor service that this hub has given me. So the lady apologised to me and she said that she would be sending out a new worker or a new hub in a couple of weeks' time, and she would get one of the servicemen to install it, and that we would also be entitled to a reimbursement for our the poor service that we had received, even though we had only signed up a couple of weeks ago. So then she said to me something that I should have probably cottoned onto straight away, but it did bypass me. She just said to me, if you want to just go over to your online account, what I'm going to do now is I am going to send the refund back into your bank account, and if you would just refresh the screen a couple of times, you probably will see this payment going back in. And it was only when I actually was just on the verge of logging into my bank account, I just said to myself, something, I don't really know this lady. I don't even know if she's working with this business. And here am I about to open my bank account. So straight away I went over to my mobile phone. I did a scan, I did a Google search to see was there any scams related to this company regarding hub speeds and internet connections and all those different things. And a lot of people said yes, there was a company or a call centre in India that were phoning out and they were pulling a complete scam on people, saying that there was something wrong with their internet speeds and the hubs, and that it was a complete scam. So straight away I turned off my laptop, and my wife hung up the phone straight away and we plugged it out. And, as I said, I looked at Catherine for a moment and I said to myself, something, I almost gave my bank details to a complete stranger. And how easy it was to do that. Now, straight away, I got on to my bank. I told them what had gone on, and I told them that, if they did notice any suspicious activity on my bank account, just to, freeze any payments going out, whatever, because they didn't come from me. So straight away, my bank froze my bank account, cancelled my cards, cancelled my online account with the bank account, and they closed everything down just for safety's sake in case anything happened. Now, thankfully, nothing did happen on my bank account, and they did reopen it today. Now, as I said, I wouldn't call myself somebody who is stupid when it comes to internet safety. I would be, as I said, one of the people who would be first to hang up on anybody ringing me from a dubious company or anybody who was looking for access to my bank account and promising to send me money or anything like that. And yet I was completely duped by this message. Now, as I said, probably the first thing that probably I should have cottoned on to was, I probably should have taken ID off this lady as soon as she had phoned me, but because she had phoned me on my home line and I hadn't given that home line away to anybody else, I assumed it was come directly from the company. And then I should have been, cottoned on to the idea that, would this type of person, would they phone every single customer and expect them to do all these technical things? Like if this lady had to ring some granny or somebody who was with a disability or whatever, could they guarantee somebody like that would be able to do all the different things that I was doing on the hub? So I just thought it was a bit strange for me to do all this technical stuff on my laptop myself, instead of maybe a serviceman or whatever coming out to my premises and then fixing everything. So I just thought to myself later on that I should have cottoned on to that I was doing so many technical things. I was downloading things, I was putting passwords in, and I was checking at this and that, and it seemed to be a lot of things for the average Joe to be actually doing themselves to fix an internet connection. And the more I thought about it, the more it kind of reminded me of a show over in England by a mentalist called Darren Brown. I don't know if you might know Darren Brown in the States or outside the UK. Maybe he might be able to find his shows on Netflix. But Darren Brown is someone who is really, really great at getting people to do unusual things. Now, one of the shows he done many, many years ago was he actually got a few people who had never ever committed a crime before to pull off a bank robbery. Well, not actually a bank robbery, but what he got them to do was to rob a security man and rob his cash box and race off with it. And at the time when I watched that TV show, I said to myself, that's a scam. How can you actually get somebody who has never committed a crime before to actually carry a gun or to grab a cash box off a security man and race off with it in broad daylight in front of people, somebody who had never ever committed a crime before? How could you get somebody to do that? Now, as the show was going on, Darren explained every single thing he did along the way to get this person to do exactly what he wanted to do. And what he did, if you can imagine, if you went to somebody and said to them, I want you to rob a security van, straight away they are going to say no. The same way you would say to me, no, there's no way I'm going to give you access to my bank account. But if I give you little steps along the way, little tasks that I want you to do, I can slowly make you do what I want you to do. And that's what Darren did in that TV show. He would ask some particular types of questions that would kind of make them look at crime in a new way. And he also, when he had them in little classrooms, when he was having a discussion with them, he would have little mottos on the wall, maybe saying that crime pays or things like that, but things that you probably wouldn't pay attention to, but your subconscious mind was taking all that information in, and that was slowly just making that person just change just a little bit. So eventually, by the end of the couple of days that they had been with them, or he had been with them, he influenced them enough to make them actually rob a security van. And the more I thought about what happened to me and what happened with me giving me access to this person, this complete stranger, giving them access to my bank account, it was that kind of little thing, that small steps, things like, have a look at testing your internet speed, and then go have a look at the hub, and then have a look at give me the serial number. And it was all little things that didn't seem to be, making me anyway security conscious, not trying to triggering my spidey sense at all, or not making me aware of what this person was doing. And it was only when I actually got to the end of it that I realized that what the hell am I doing here? I'm just about to give this person access to my bank account. And as I said, lucky enough, I wised up to it and I closed everything down. And that's one thing I just want you to be aware of. Sometimes you can be swayed in a certain direction by little small things. Now, social media is really good at that, in that they trigger us with the smallest little kind of rewards or kind of small actions to get us to do a certain thing in their favor. If you think about things like social media buttons, like a like and a share, those are small little things. It only takes a fraction of a second for us to click on that, but because we click on a thing like that, it actually makes us kind of take a small action that is going to set us down a path. Now, I do remember reading some kind of psychology book years ago that said that if you take a small action, that later on it can actually make you try and back up that decision you'd made, or get you to look at something in a new way. And how they did that was, what they did was they had somebody who had just had a clipboard and they were looking for signatures about a bird or a monkey or something like that that was having trouble in Brazil or whatever, and the numbers were dying off and they needed support. And what they were doing was they were looking for signatures. So what they did was they would stand in front of you as you're walking down the street, and they say, would you give support for this particular endangered animal or whatever? And you would probably think nothing of it. You would say, that's okay, yeah, I'll give you a quick signature. Yeah, I think that's a worthy cause, and I'm only giving over a signature, so it's no big deal. And then when you'd walk down the street, they actually had another person set up further on who would be looking to sign up subscribers to maybe the World Wild, the WWF, the Wildlife Federation, the charity. And what they would do is they would stop you further on down the street and they would say to you, by the way, would you be interested in supporting the pandas or supporting the monkeys or whatever, or supporting these endangered animals? And they found that if they had somebody sign up with a clipboard further up the street, that they actually got more people to subscribe and to sign up to the wildlife membership. And the reason they did that was because they had made a decision on the first board. By giving their signature, they had made themselves out to be somebody who cared about nature. And then by the time they got to the second person, because they had made themselves feel like they were a person who cared about nature, well, then that made them more inclined to actually sign up to the WWF and take a kind of a donation out of their bank account every month or so to fund that thing. And they found that by doing that, if they had the first person just looking to get people to sign up to the WWF without the first clipboard, they found that the numbers were lower. But if they got somebody to give a signature beforehand, it swayed them in that direction to get them to sign up that way. And that's what I want you just to be aware of, what you are doing right now. And people who are asking for maybe small decisions off you, like likes and shares, that there could be something maybe, some people mightn't be doing anything. But as I said, sometimes we can be duped in, sometimes we can be led down a path by just the smallest of actions we could take. A small action, and then it gets bigger and bigger along the way, and then before you know it, you're almost on the verge of giving someone over your bank account. And again, not just to be aware of that, but also see if you can maybe put that in part of your business. I heard before that, if you can get somebody to spend $1 with you, then that will probably be the type of person who is probably going to spend $27, maybe $97 or $297. But because they have spent $1 with you, because they have put their trust in you, because they have, felt safe handing over you $1, there's a better chance that that person will buy your product at $27 or $97 or $297, even though they have only given you $1. That small action is going to put them down a path. So maybe if you have a paid product or something like that, and you're having difficulty maybe getting people to purchase it, maybe just have maybe a first product that is only $1, where maybe it's a smaller product, maybe it's a watered down version of your product. But maybe by having that as a kind of introductory product, by them handing over $1, it may sway them when it comes to maybe, if they have them in a funnel or whatever, where the next purchase is maybe $27 or $97, you will probably stand a better chance of selling that product to them because they have already handed over $1. So keep that in mind today, not just for, your own safety, internet safety and everything. Maybe if I can prevent somebody from, allowing a complete stranger into their bank account like I almost did, or maybe if you can use it in your business, or just pay attention to the small actions people are asking you to make. Is it going to send you down a path that's going to make you do something that you don't realize what you're doing, but because you have done the small actions beforehand, maybe it could be leading you into something maybe you don't want to get into. So as always, as I said, hopefully I've helped somebody out there, and hopefully I've protected somebody's bank account. But as I said, I would be somebody who would be a little bit internet savvy, and yet I was almost duped by those little small actions. So as always, if you'd like to reach out to me, if you'd like to send me an email, you can send an email to barryjmcdonald@gmail.com. And I also see too in the show notes there is a link now you can click on for Anchor FM. I think if you want to leave like a recorded message, or if you'd like to leave an audio message, you can click on that and you can send a message directly to me, and I can listen to it, or maybe put it in the podcast and maybe answer your question that way. Or if you'd like to know what I do over on the Writecom site, if you want to go over to Writecom, that's WRITECOME.com, you'll find 9 great free reports on the homepage. So as always, take care of yourself and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like more from the Writecom.com podcast, be sure to subscribe now for more tips, tricks, and ideas you can use to make more money from your words. See you in the next episode.